Kia ora, good morning. I just woke up. I'm back in the prayer position. I've been given orders to stand down because I need to recharge my battery. So I'm just going to be working on kids' cartoons and all of that this week. So I've been put on sabbatical. So I've just woken up. I was utterly exhausted yesterday, but rightly so because I fought my ass off yesterday with those codes. But anyway, so this message is I need to tell you about a dream that I had which was pretty bloody awesome. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but it's pretty bloody awesome. But I also need to get a message out to America. This whole thing that happened with Donald Trump, giving in an executive order to force every American with a bank account to give up their biometrics or they lose their bank accounts. And people are up in arms about it, but I just want to let you know two things. Firstly, he's got about 30 seconds left and he's trying to exert control. Whenever they know they're losing control, whenever, the elites, the New World Order, the Illuminati, whoever, whenever they know they're losing control, they do stupid things that makes the situation worse, and then they punish people. They do things to punish people, to cover up their humiliation when they lose control. They do things to exert control in order to gain control back because they've lost control, but it just digs them into a deeper and deeper hole. Now, what this has done, this executive order, because I noticed when I was doing the plane crash investigations into him and Musk, every time those two get humiliated in public, Starmer does the exact same thing. Every time they get humiliated in public, they have to do something to punish someone. They have to do something to punish people. It's usually like, another plane crash, or it's usually every time there's a plane crash or some big accident or something like that, it's because they've been humiliated and they need to do something to punish people. And that's what they do. Because it's like a form of mentally unstable, psychopathic harming. You know how people who are mentally broken self-harm? This is the psychopath's version of self-harm. In order to deal with the rage of humiliation, they have to hurt someone because it makes them feel better to hurt someone. And in doing my investigation into Donald Trump, that is classic Donald Trump. And he's just been humiliated in a way that he's never coming back from. Every country around the world is now making fun of his really badly staged assassination attempt. Now, interestingly, how I know he's got about 30 seconds left is because the friend of Vance's wife, Cole Allen, if that's his real name, he's actually a friend of JD Vance's wife, said in his manifesto that he didn't say the blood of a paedophile president on his hands, but he said like he didn't want his hands stained because of a pedophile president, or obviously I'm paraphrasing, but when I saw that I thought, well, that's interesting because in my dream, blood on his hands. And remember at the start of that dream, Archangel Michael said that they were airlifting, pulling Trump out first. And then this man goes and talks about having blood on his hands, but he used a different term, stained hands. I think, or it was something like that. He didn't, but he was implying blood. And I read it and I thought, that's my blood on his hands dream. Archangel Michael said that he was taking Trump first. And because remember, I was explaining about how Archangel Michael, his sword lights up like truth. It's a sword of truth. And he highlights people's sins before he spears them with his sword like a rod. He he uses his sword to illuminate the sin or sinner, but it's usually his sin. Like he when he goes in, he exposes what they're guilty of, pulls back the veil to show who they really are, demasks them, so to speak, and illuminates them so that they can't ever be seen the same way again. And then he uses his sword to spear the demons like a rod because he's so big and he stomps on them. And somebody had put up a poster of Donald Trump walking alongside this big golden winged angel, like and saying, you know, we need to pray for him. All that staged bullshit, making out like his life was in danger and blah blah blah. I mean, he's really screwed up. He has monumentally screwed up. This is his curtain call. This is his goodbye, his swan song, so to speak, because he screwed up really bad. But it was funny for the rest of us because the memes that have been coming out of it. But I wanted to reply to this person, you have no idea, and then send them a link to my Blood on His Hands stream because it's Michael taking him down. It's just what he does, and he does it so well. I'm a code breaker, and my sword is the sort of truth, and like I burn it all down. That's why in Lucian's Dragon it's called the Flame of Truth, because I set their lies on fire. I use my codes as a code breaker to set the lies on fire, whereas Michael exposes the truth. I I mean, we do it in different ways, but he literally spears them to take them away. Donald Trump has been given a death sentence. It was already decided long ago that he was not going to survive like the next 12 months sort of thing. And that's Michael coming to take him. He, whether he dies in his presidency or not, or whether, you know, because he has lost his presidency. He didn't listen to the warnings about Iran. He didn't listen to the warnings from God when he was blaspheming, and that he didn't listen because he has a God complex. He's the epitome of someone with a God complex, and he hates the fact that he is now a laughing stock. He has zero credibility left as a human being, let alone as a president. He's not a leader. He is on a path of self-destruction, and now everyone can see it. And when he doesn't get his own way, he packs monumental tantrums and then punishes people for it. But this was the final straw, because now he's done this biometrics thing. I don't know if he was thinking, well, now she can't come to America, blah, 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 because I can tell you right now, he's seething when it comes to me, because I exposed him and shut his thing down within, I think it was about half an hour of the news starting to come out about this staged assassination attempt. While everybody else was kind of like waking up to it and taking time to figure, like it was a few hours, it was like a good sort of 4 to 5 hours when people started jumping on that news. I was there within about 24 minutes, I think it was, because I got woken up from my sleep. And I always know when I get woken up from my sleep, God's needing me to get out of the prayer position, wield my sword, and wait for me to act. And as soon as I saw it, that's when I jumped in with those codes and, you know, my way and all of that, and shut it down So I can promise you he will be absolutely seething. My phone started messing up really bad yesterday when I was typing, and I said they're playing with my phone because it was Russia that taught me. God bless Russia, that when your keyboard is delayed and playing up and it's like messing up, that means they're watching. So it was Russia that taught me. So I said they're watching me, they're messing with my keyboard. I would type the word I am, and it would come out like WAASTTQQ sort of thing. And so because of Russia, I knew what it was. You know, my keyboard was really heavy and lagging and dragging, and it was taking like ages to post things in that. And yeah, thankfully, because of that Russian guy, I knew exactly what it was, and that's when I said, "Oh, they're watching me." So I knew they were watching me. So I know he's pissed off. I know he's angry. He's furious, and in order to take that revenge out, he's taken it out on Americans. But the thing is, he's now created his own downfall, because remember, the Lord said that Donald Trump would be taken down from the inside out. That it would be the American people with inside his administration, his justice system, and the country itself who were going to be the reason why he's extracted as president. So now what's going to happen is America's about to catch on fire. And the thing is, he has treated his military and his law like shit so bad that now, you know, that prophecy I did from back in 2018 when the tanks hit the streets, you know, it's over for the elites. Well, he's already got tanks on the streets in America and Washington and that, because he's such a coward. He's paranoid. He's paranoid of people coming after him. But he set the stage for his entire country to come after him. So now he's screwed. Because what's going to happen is, when the tanks hit the streets, because he's now threatening to, he's already starving them and freezing them and made them all homeless. There's hundreds of thousands of homeless people in America now because they didn't play by his rules. He's now just triggered countrywide rage and anger. He's tipped people over the edge, because now he's saying, if you don't play by my rules, you're not going to have access to, like, I'm going to make every single one of you homeless. I'm going to make every single one of you not be like, your kids are going to starve. You're going to starve. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. You can't pay your medical care, none of it. And that's going to tip people over the edge. And now you watch the riots. But the thing is, the difference is, this time, he's not going to have the military or the police to protect him, because they're going to be joining the riots. Because that's what I said, when the tanks hit the streets, the military, he won't have the support. Although at the time I didn't know it was Trump, they won't have the support of the police or the military, because now he's threatening to go after everyone. So now he's turned on his own military and his own police force. It'll only be the sheeple. And they don't realise that by giving up their biometrics in order to keep their bank accounts, he's handing them over to Palantir and the CIA, so that they can be monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where, well, they'll shut you down. He's doing a complete, he's turned into Hitler, which is why I called him Baron von Crumple and becoming spellbound. And show your papers or you don't get anything. Show your papers or you don't get through. China's done it. If you don't have a good credit score, you don't have access to money. It's really cruel. Like, it's sadistic. I have a lot of respect for Xi Jinping, but some of the... No, you don't treat humanity like that. You can't build a beautiful country still steeped in tradition like he has, but treat your people like that. It's inhumane. It's fusing the light with the dark, and that's not evolution. That's devolution. When you're stepping into that kind of arena, you're putting your ancestry and your country's history and your culture to one side in order to punish the people for not playing by your rules, and it's sadistic. So, yeah. So the countries that stay neutral, that stay cool, that don't force their people to live by that kind of dystopian, authoritarian rule, basically turning everything into modern day Nazi Germany, but with technology and electronics instead of papers and tattoos on your arm, they'll survive the ones that are spending all their money building massive towers and sparkly cities. The countries who stay with tradition, they're the ones that will outlast the ones who are trying to turn everything sparkly and golden. But God said that Donald Trump was going to be taken down from the inside out, from inside the White House, from inside his administration, the court system, his military, the Pentagon, all of it. Because now he's threatening to cut off access to money to every single American citizen. And you have to prove your citizenship in order to have access to your bank account. And to have access to your bank account, you have to hand over your biometrics, which means that, one, he's not going to get his ballroom. People are saying he did that stunt to get his ballroom because the law says that he has to prove that his life is in danger in order for him to get the money to build it, but it was staged. So his life was never in danger. His vice president's wife's work colleague staged that whole thing with their help. Remember, they were having those secret meetings in the days leading up to all of this. So they'd been preparing for this for a few days to distract from the fact that the Iran war, he's completely screwed that up. He's no longer talking about Iran anymore. So the fact that he put that indefinite ceasefire on Iran, when he did that, it's proof he was already planning to pull off a staged event, because he called for the ceasefire, and then a couple of days after that he started calling people for emergency meetings to the White House, which means that they would have been then planning the staged event. The AI footage that he put up of the gunman running through, and people saying, God, he's running so fast, is he like an alien or a time traveller or superhuman or whatever? Firstly, he was dressed, but when they arrested him, he was stark bollock naked. But his administration was reposting, like his people were reposting the video footage of him running, sprinting through security and getting past security, which, I mean, there technically was none. They stood everything down so much. Everyone was literally just sitting in their seats, not even reacting to what was going on. And the interesting thing is, firstly, it turns out that the AI footage that Trump posted of this man running like a superhuman alien time traveller was AI generated. So the President of the United States used AI generated footage to stage a fake assassination attempt. So he should probably be getting arrested. But people were talking about how non-reactive people were to the gunshots and that. Like, you see people like Kash Patel just sitting there acting like nothing was going on. And I think these were the people who refused to play along. I think the people who weren't reacting to it and giving their let's pretend we're scared and having to duck under the table thing, I think these were the people who were refusing to play along with his game because they knew everyone was going to figure out how staged it was and they didn't want to play a part of it. I think I'm watching Kash Patel and I get this feeling like he started putting his foot down to Donald Trump, that he realised early on in the game he'd been used as a scapegoat for the whole Epstein thing. And then when he refused to play, they threw him under the bus with those accusations of him being a drunk. And staging the photos and all of that to tarnish his reputation. Because he's the one that didn't play along the least. And I was watching him and I thought, you refused to play along out of defiance, because it's like he knows he was used as a scapegoat. He knows he was set up. He knows that Donald Trump's throwing him under the bus because he wouldn't play fair, like Pam Bondi. And so he set out to destroy his reputation, because that's what Donald Trump does, because he did that with me. And then he gets everybody around you to gang stalk you and tarnish your reputation and that, to destroy your credibility. But what people need to understand is that because I didn't back down, because I didn't play by his rules, because I wasn't scared by his threats or anything like that, I just quietly put my head down and kept gathering evidence. It's all now coming back to haunt him. When I pulled those codes up so fast yesterday, it stopped everything in its tracks. And I can guarantee you, because I knew they were watching, he would have been furious. Because now he just looks humiliated, because I've pulled up the evidence to show that God said, I want a word with you. And where Archangel Michael said in my dream, I'm coming to get Trump. Like, I jumped in so fast. So now he's punishing America, but this is his curtain call. And now the riots will start. America's about to burn. Because, and they won't stop until he's relieved of duty, until he's removed as president. I don't even think he's going to resign. I think he's going to be removed. I don't think he's going to be impeached. I think he's going to be removed. Because he's playing very dangerous games in order to get away with what he wants. And now he's punishing every single American, man, woman and child, veteran, serving military, law enforcement, all the people who have just been working together to try and hold that bloody country together long enough until they can get him out. Dealing with the adversities of the threat of war, because you need to understand, if he's determined to build that bunker buster ballroom, they're calling it the Baal room, which is so clever, is because he has the intention of starting a nuclear war. And he knows that the second he drops nukes on countries like Iran, countries like China and Korea are going to obliterate him. And because he's a coward, he'll run and hide and leave Americans to suffer the consequences. Because that's what cowards do. You know, sometimes Vladdy has to hide, but once the threat is over, He comes back out onto the street and he rolls his sleeves up and he resumes his duties as president. He's a real man. He's the example of what a real leader is, as far as I'm concerned. I love everything about that man. That's why I'm so protective and defensive of him. It's why I was put in charge of, as his babysitter. I've learned a lot from watching that man more than watching any other world leader on how they deal with things. And he is the strongest, most resilient, dedicated, loyal world leader who has sacrificed so much and tolerated so much and put up with so much in order to do the right thing by his people and even the people of Ukraine. Now that I know that he's like trying to be Ukraine's version of Schindler, I can't even talk about it because I get a lump in my throat. I can see why God is giving him the New Jerusalem. He's earned it. He's earned the position he's about to be given once people like Donald Trump and Keir Starmer and von der Leyen and Zelensky and that are removed from power. And it starts with Donald Trump. There's nothing I don't love and respect about that man. And I don't mean like, he's got a woman. I'm not talking like, oh, yeah. I mean like, he's my hero. He's my living hero. There's nobody else living who is my hero the way he is my hero. Well, Yodok Cello, I looked up to Yodok Cello because he's the one that introduced me to classical music. He's the one that inspired me through watching him to compose my music and write my opera. But Vladimir Putin taught me how to be a leader. He taught me how to be a strong leader and how to survive all the shit that people like Donald Trump and Keir Starmer and that try to throw at you, because he's been in the same boat. That's what I'm saying. We're comrades. In my mind, him and I have fought the devils and demons together in our own separate ways, in our different paths, but at the same time. So I learned a lot from him, but at the same time I also helped him look to the future to see that his dark days were going to come to an end, and they are. So, but yeah, other than my two sons, obviously, I worship and adore my sons. They're everything that is made up of my human soul. But other than my sons, yeah, he's like he's my hero. He's my my inspiration. Without him, I wouldn't be ready to run my empire. So he's worthy of everything he's about to get from God. We just have to wait for Donald Trump to go. Once Donald Trump falls, once he's removed, they all fall. Now, whatever Donald Trump is up to, it has a direct knock-on effect to Keir Starmer, because that's what Michael said. Once we take Trump, he's next. And he's got blood on his hands, and he didn't just have blood on his hands, his body was covered head to toe. So Keir Starmer's tied up in something that Donald Trump's doing that is going to be the reason why Keir Starmer gets arrested. He doesn't have his soul removed like Trump. He gets arrested. He lives his worst nightmare, which is being locked up in prison with rapists and murderers and all that. For a Virgo, their worst nightmare is for them to be seen as anything less than perfect. And that's about to happen to Starmer. So I just hope he doesn't take the king down with him. I'm trying desperately to protect the king, because it's obvious that, like with Cash Patel and that, the king was set up as well, that his family was set up as well. Sarah Ferguson might get thrown under the bus with arrests, but because it looks like she's about to be arrested, but America, you just have to trust the process and remember the constitutional lie law, the punishable lie law. It's against the law for anyone running for an election to take money for a campaign based on promises and then not deliver on those promises once elected. And he did that with Fauci, Gates, Epstein. He went no vaccinations, no cloud seeding. He promised everything in a golden basket and then delivered nothing but shit. The punishable lies. And if you can prove you donated money to him, you can launch a class action lawsuit against him, and there'll be millions of you who did it. And I know there are some people on X who donated in excess of 100 grand to his campaign, and then they're upset that he went against everything they voted for. That's against the law. If you can prove that you donated money to his campaign, you can sue him, you can get the federal marshals in to arrest him. If Cash Patel's listening, this could be your chance to get revenge. Because I really, really, truly believe that Cash Patel went in to Trump's administration with the truest of intentions, and then realised that doing a favour for the president, taking a hit for the president, doing a favour for the president, doing a favour for the president, and then realising, holy shit, I've done so many favours for the president, my reputation is now destroyed. And so when he's tried to put his foot down and say no, Trump's come after him, because that's what Trump does. When you don't play by his rules, when you don't give him what he wants, he destroys your life. And then he'll try to kill you. Have you whacked? He's had a lot of people killed. Same with Clinton. Because he thinks he's God. And now it's come out. People on the inside are saying that there are people in his administration, there are people who follow him, who literally worship him as God. They truly believe he is God because he has a cult. And I was like, I knew it. I've been saying that they were all in a cult. And it's a sex one as well. Like, one of the things they do is they all have sexuals with each other. Because Elon Musk, one of his baby mamas, she was an Epstein girl. And they all had to go. Bill Gates, Epstein, they all had to go with his latest baby mama. Because in their cult, where their three devils are Baphomet, Baal and Molech, everything that they do is for Molech. It's like if you worship Baphomet and you do the whole orgies and fetishes, and you're breaking up the family unit. See, they pretend to be anti-LGBT, but they secretly are LGBT, as we now know with the Epstein files, seen so many of them in dresses and in gay clubs and all that sort of thing. I've got a lot of photos. But it's to tear up the family unit where there's a mother and a father, so that kids don't grow up without a mother and a father, because that's the Fabian Society rule. Remove the father from the home so that the mother has to struggle and rely on government support, and the children grow up messed up because they don't have a mother or a father. With me, they removed me. Parental alienation is a narcissistic trait, and that's what they do with Baphomet when you worship Baphomet. And I know that Chris worships Baphomet. Baphomet's one of his demons, one of his devils. The Church of Leviathan as well is Baal and Baphomet is the one to do with like sins of the flesh, and sins of the home, basically, to gain power. And they're like, but Baphomet is like the lower level devil who does it to please Molech and to do favour to like work on behalf of Baal. And Baal is the devil for greed and control and power, and which is why everything is gold, like the McDonald's golden arches is taken after the Arch of Baal. And Baal is all about luxury and gold and greed and control and power and the RAPE word, because it's all about anything to do with exerting power and control over people you see as being less than. That's Baal, including cannibalism, sacrifices, and RAPE and, sexual assault, that sort of thing. That's Baal. Baphomet does sacrifices as well, but not as often as Baal. In order to get what Baal wants, Baal has to shed blood. But it has to be of people that Baal thinks is less than. So the pure and innocent, the ones who can't fight back, the powerless ones, because they believe that when they exert power over the powerless and innocent, the ones who can't fight back, they power up. It gives them that adrenaline rush, and they power up and they feel strong, and they have like massive erections and that sort of thing, especially during the sacrifices, because they're so messed in the head that when they realise that their rage and their anger, because you think of a bull, right, gives them raging erections. And that was also a little bit of my ex-husband when he was trying to take sex from me, and he was stopping me from breathing, putting his hands around my neck, putting his forearm across my throat so I couldn't breathe. It was the only way he could be aroused, because he had a lot of arousal issues. And then after I left him and didn't, obviously we weren't together anymore, he never wanted it when we were married. But when we stopped being married and I was with Martin and I wasn't giving him what he wanted, that's when he wanted it. And it was by trying to take it from me when I wasn't playing by his rules. It was like a couple of times a week he'd do it. Sexually assault me in my sleep, because having that control over me turned him on. And it's an actual thing. It's the way the body responds to power and control. The men become aroused. So that's Baal, and that's Donald Trump's devil. Elon Musk is Baphomet. Donald Trump, that's why he controls, and like Bill Gates and that, they're all Baphomet, because it's all about all the sex and controlling fertility and the family unit and kids and all of that thrown in. And Baal is all about power and control. And if you don't play by the rules, he's going to destroy your business, destroy your reputation, destroy your credibility, because he's seen as like the devil for the CEO, for the president. And then you've got Molech, and they're the ones that Baphomet and Baal work for. Molech chooses who can be in the cult. You get chosen by Molech, and then you're set out to be like the minions for Molech. And Molech is the one that demands organs, children, babies, virgins, eating human flesh, adrenochrome, all of that. And we know who Molech is. And it looks like Israel's getting ready to oust him. He's been denied clemency for his pardon for all the crimes that he's committed. And nearly 60,000 people have taken to the streets to demand an inquiry into October 7 and to get him out as Prime Minister. And there's rumours going around that somebody else has stepped in as Prime Minister. I think it's to hide the fact that he's dead. They're going to say all this stuff. And you know, because I've already started to say he's got prostate cancer. But he had cancer a couple of years ago. It's up on my X. So I think they're slowly going to break the news that he's died to hide the fact that he died. But as long as he's removed, because then at least Israel can start again. He caused a lot of trouble for Israel that didn't need to be there. However, what people need to understand is that this whole thing between Israel and Palestine and Israel and America had to happen so that people could see the truth of how they were living and correct their mistakes. So Israel will get a second chance if they do the right thing. If they continue the way they're going, they're going to get wiped off the face of the earth and they'll have to go somewhere else because they won't have the money, the support or the resources to rebuild what Iran is tearing down. Iran has been backed by God, so nothing Israel do will succeed until they remove the cancer. And if they don't remove the cancer, then they're going to have to find somewhere else to live. They need to sort themselves out. This is their chance, their second chance to make a good impression with God before they go to heaven, before they die. So Donald Trump is the most hated president in the world now. Keir Starmer is the most hated Prime Minister. Israel's the most hated country, and that's not fair. It's one thing to be hated as a person, but to be hated as a nation, because it's punishing every single Israeli person for the crimes of a handful in power. And it's not fair. For the ones who are committing the atrocities, they absolutely need to be held accountable, but they're a handful compared to a whole population who just want to be left alone. They've been used just like Muslims and Christians in a game of chess played by a handful of people who are using real lives as their chess pieces, and it's not fair, you know, to start this holy war. All they have to do is rise up and demand change, and that's it. And then help rebuild what the government tore down because it's the right thing to do. There are soldiers in Israel killing themselves 10, 20 a week, I think it was. Killing themselves because they are so ashamed of what they've been forced to engage in that they would rather take their own lives than fight for their own government. They're losing soldiers at an exponential rate to suicide. because they can't deal with it. They're dealing with severe PTSD. I've seen interviews with some of these soldiers in their when they're having hearings, like like court hearings and stuff like that, and they're inconsolable. It's horrible. It breaks my heart. It's not fair. So they know what the right thing to do is. They just have to be brave enough to do it, because what the people of Israel need to understand is if they all stood together to rise up against their government, every single country in the world would help them. Every single country in the world would help them, other than probably Great Britain and America, because they're BB bitches. Um, they'd have support from every country in the world, because then it would open the door for every country in the world to help Palestine. So Netanyahu does the same thing Trump does. When he doesn't get his own way, he punishes the people of Palestine. He'll stop Doctors Without Borders from gaining access. He'll stop aid from getting through, like that sort of thing. So if the people of Israel rose up to demand change, and for those who caused what happened in Palestine to be held accountable, every single country in the world would back them. Absolutely, they would back them 100%, and they'd be at war with Israel's own army. And you'd be talking about however many countries in the world up against the tiny little Israeli army, because Trump will be gone. So there'll be no one to send troops into Israel from America. And once Trump is gone, Starmer's gone. I don't know what the two of them have done, but whatever happens to Trump is going to have a knock-on effect with Starmer, because the two of them go down together. LA riots meets V for Vendetta. That's what I said all those years ago. So, and because of becoming spellbound, Starmer's helping Donald Trump do something so highly illegal in some kind of way, if it's not the genocides and all of that anyway, that when Trump is removed, it exposes Starmer. And at that point, he knows he can't fight the accusations, because in the dream, he just put his head down and put his hands behind his back, waiting to be handcuffed. And then after that, remember, it's von der Leyen. So you just got to hang in there. It starts with America and ends with the UK. And then after that, once Trump and Starmer have gone, we get to wash all the blood off our world map and start again. Fresh and clean. So fresh and so clean. So fear not, because he's screwed the pooch on this one. He's shot himself in the foot in a way that he's not going to be able to come back from. He's not going to get his bail room. He's not going to even be able to keep his presidency. His days are numbered now. He'll be gone quite soon. And then whether it's while he's president but before he's removed as president, or just after he's no longer president, that's when they'll find him dead on the floor. His heart. They're gonna. His fate was decided a long time ago, and they're going to stop his heart. So he's not going to have a fall down the stairs. He's not going to have a stroke or anything like that. His heart will stop. He'll have a heart attack. He'll be found on the floor. So, and I don't think many people will turn out to say goodbye to him either. And his kids, remember, God said he was going to take his children down with him. So his kids will all end up losing everything and going to court and going to jail and all of that. So don't worry. Melania will turn state's evidence to save herself. Now my dream. In my dream, because I was recording tunes for, I was recording well, I thought it was an aria, and I put it up as Eleonora's aria. But after I uploaded the second video, I started seeing in my mind's eye this man coming in, a tenor, and singing, and then people in the background, like in the crowd, singing this song as well. And I don't think that's an aria, because an aria is a solo performance, but I don't know what it's called when it wasn't recitative. They weren't sing talking. They were singing the song. It was like a duet, but accompanied by the cast. And I don't know what the technical operatic word for that is, but that's what they were doing. And it's in my head when I could hear the tune, even though it was in Italian, and I could hear his part and hear her part and hear the cast in the background. It sounded amazing. And I was literally recording this when I passed out because I was so tired. I was struggling to keep my eyes open, but I had to get this tune out before I passed out. And then I dreamed that I was watching it all on stage, but Eleonora was, they were singing this bit, they were doing actual recitative and that because she was talking to a friend of hers who was a painter, who was an artist. And she's he's like her best friend, because I was thinking of Da Vinci, because there's I went to see some Da Vinci art in Leeds, I think it was. It was either Leeds, yeah, I think it was Leeds. It might have been Manchester, but I think it was Leeds. And it blew my mind. But while I was looking at his artwork, I time jumped. And I actually got to see him sitting there drawing and, doing stuff. And I've got a video about it. I just met Leonardo da Vinci. It's, it was at the start of me learning to time jump. And so I was kind of thinking because people like Leonardo da Vinci were commissioned to paint for royals and the church and things like that, I think in the dream he's her friend, but he's an artist and he's a renowned artist. And they were singing this piece back and forth where, she's saying, I can't believe that you're back again to paint me and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, anything for an old friend. And she's like, oh, obviously they're singing recitative. You're being so humble. Everybody knows you're the best at what you do and you're sought after, and I can't believe you found the time from your busy schedule and that to make time for me. And he's like, well, you're one of my oldest friends, and, that sort of thing. They were singing back and forth. But he was painting while they were doing this thing, this piece. And then at the end of the set, he'd done this painting. And I woke up and I thought, I wonder how many opera singers there are out there who can paint, but who could paint well enough that they could paint a painting of Eleonora and the time it's going to take for them to do that set in real life. So he'd be painting for real. So how long would it take for an artist to paint it? Look, because I don't know how long a set goes for. I don't know if it's a few minutes or, long enough for, because I know these artists can work really fast. Some of these artists can do these portraits and that really fast. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a portrait. It's just that she's commissioning him to do a painting. So I was thinking, on stage, I wonder how many opera singers can paint, where we do a whole set where he does a different painting, because I mean, obviously an opera only goes for a certain amount of time. So say if it's like it goes for 2 or 3 months, right? If it's well received, hopefully, fingers crossed. I hope people turn up just for the fact that, even if it's not good, they turn up because it's to support the kids. So I wonder if I could find an opera singer, male opera singer, who can paint something good enough and well enough that he could do real paintings each performance, do a different painting every time, and then maybe he can sell them after the show, or we can auction them off when we have our yearly auctions, or put them in the art gallery and sell them in the art gallery for him. And then he makes money doing the opera and selling his paintings. Or I'll commission them, or you know what I mean? But I thought, I wonder if that would be possible. Because I've seen artists do incredible things when they've been auditioning for Talent's Got the Idol Factor. Like, portraits of famous people and that, and the time it takes to do an audition. So it is possible. And he could just do a different painting every time, every show. And then we can either, he can sell it after the show, or, like I said, put it in, because we're going to have yearly auctions, yearly fundraising auctions, or put them in my art gallery, and then people can come at the end of the opera to see his paintings and that, and then he can sell them, or sell them online, or whatever. And then he gets to make money off his art as well. It puts it out there. The only rule would be that he has to do a different painting every time, because she's going to commission him to do a painting. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a portrait. It would be up to him. So I wonder if that's possible, because that's what I dreamt. So how many painters that can do oil on canvas can, or even pencil, because he used pencil as well. But yeah, oil on canvas, I'm thinking, who can sing opera. And I could even write the scene where he's even like in the background painting while we're finishing the rest of the act. But that's what I dreamt. So now I'm excited. So, and then when I get to America, because the thing is, like, he can threaten me with you not getting into America, because I'm punishing all Americans for not getting my own way, so you're not getting in. Now that I know you want to come to America, well, it's too bad, because you'll be gone. So when I get to America, I need to find someone who can paint oil on canvas, who can sing opera that nobody knows about. I'm really hoping and praying that I find some farmer who is an incredible painter but can also sing. I'm hoping I can find someone who's just like a UPS driver, or a state trooper, who is really good at art but can also sing. And he doesn't have to be a tenor or anything like that. He just needs to be able to sing, because he's going to have this recitative with Eleonora. So, because I was thinking when I woke up, like, she could commission this painting for the father to take as a gift to her uncle, who's one of the Kings in the Legion of Kings or something, or she's commissioning a painting for her father's birthday or as a birthday gift, but she's commissioning it as a gift to someone. But then people could buy the paintings in real life. And if they're good enough, I might, because I want original works of art in my house. I want to commission original works of art just for my house to put up on the walls in my hallway and in the living room above the fireplace and that sort of thing. So I love Charles Rene Mackintosh. I've always wanted a Tiffany lamp because I love stained glass in that, but I love sort of Art Deco. I love abstract. Got a thing for abstract. I love impressionism. I love realism, but the painting has to match the feel of the room. So, but yeah, so anyway, so that was my dream and that was my message. So don't worry about it. Trump, he screwed up. He screwed up really bad, but it's been delightful for everybody else because his whole administration have completely humiliated themselves on the world stage, but the memes coming out of it are hilarious. They're the mockery of the entire world now. They're going to go down in history in 50 years, 100 years' time, 200 years' time. That event that staged event and all the memes that came out of it are going to be like still talked about. Classic political comedy. His administration are going to be studied in schools. He's probably the biggest failure of any world leader in political history, and there's been some pretty bad ones. So all his goons go down with him. All the Democrats who were helping him behind the shadows, in the shadows, people like Palantir and all that, don't worry about it because they're going down with him. When he gets torn down, it all gets torn down. You're going to be left feeling naked and vulnerable, like where the hell do we go from here? Like what do we do now? Who's going to look after us? I'll help look after you. I'll be there to help look after you. And he's going to be the last president. It's all going to be done completely differently where each state basically becomes like a European country. They will completely manage themselves, but run the country as individual states with a handful of ethical people who've proven themselves to have morals and ethics, who aren't on the Epstein files for anything nefarious, who will oversee everything in a way that it's for the good of the people. After he's removed, every decision made, everything built, all the money spent will be done for the good of the people and with the permission of the people. And I'm telling you now, you end up with free healthcare because you won't be going to war with anyone. All that money that you're saving, scaling back your military and all of that sort of thing, will enable everyone to have free healthcare. Because you've been scammed when it comes to Medicaid and healthcare. You've been scammed. There's absolutely no reason why. No, absolutely no reason why your healthcare couldn't be free. Which is the trouble that the British will make if they get reform in, because he wants to privatise healthcare so that you've got to pay for it all. But whoever gets into power in Great Britain, they're not Tories, they're not Greens, they're not Reform, they're not Labour. New parties rise up as a result, and Great Britain is never the same again, especially if obviously we end up losing the monarchy, which I'm desperately trying to save before I leave. But if the king is thinking it might not be a good idea to go to America this week, is it? He's rethinking his trip. With any luck, hopefully that means he's woken up or waking up. Because just when I thought I had him, he got pulled back down again. So I would not advise King Charles to fly anywhere when Donald Trump is in a bad mood and no one to crash planes. A lawyer, state attorney, has just died in a plane crash from North Dakota. And people are already asking what was she involved in that they crashed her plane. So I really, 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 I'm hoping and praying the king doesn't fly. Because they can shut that stuff down remotely, and I've proven it. I have the evidence to prove it. And I took it to the king even then, so... But anyway, I mean, it's his free will, but it's also up to God, so I can only put the warnings out there. So don't worry, America. You're nearly at the other side of hell. Lucifer is about to go down. Just remember Satan's doom. Just read the book of Revelation. You'll get your hallelujah. So just hang in there a little bit longer. So I'm going to go back to my opera. I'm going to have some breakfast, and I really have to start working on some kids' cartoons and kids' shows, because these are all things that we can start making and get up and running as soon as I get my server built, my IT crew. As soon as we get the server up and running, we can start putting shows and little mini games and that up, while I'm waiting for everything else to be built and made, like the AAAs and the feature films and all of that, the hotel, and we can start generating money. I can get shops opened and start generating money. So I need to get kids' cartoons written down. I'm going to sit with a pen and paper and everything and start writing it all out. I wish my laptop was up and running, but yeah, I got a lot to type out once I get out of here and have access to broadband. But there you go. I'll have the time, because I'll be doing my talent search. So while I'm travelling between cities and states and all of that, it'll give me plenty of time to re-edit Lucian's Dragon and get everything written out to hand to my script writers and show writers and all of that. So anyway, so I'm going to go and get my breakfast. I'll speak to you later. Just hang in there a little bit longer. It's nearly over. I promise. Ka kite anō.